The podcast you're about to listen to contains horribly offensive language, crude humor, and countless spoilers for things we guarantee haven't been spoiled for you yet. Listener discretion is advised. If you're listening to this in a public place without headphones, you should probably use headphones. This podcast isn't safe for work, or home, or school, or your headphones. In fact, you should probably stop listening. Want to skip to a specific section of the show? The episode description contains a handy index with timestamps to help you do exactly that. Now sit back, relax, and listen to two fat guys talk.
Oh man, do you know what I miss about needing to fiddle with tracking controls on a VCR in order to stabilize a picture so I could watch what I wanted to watch?
Nothing?
Nothing at all. Today, you throw something in and it just fucking works.
Sometimes.
Oh my god, tracking. Like, I don't even understand how that's a thing. How the video signal being output from a VCR, coax or RCA, is not somehow already all okay for your television.
But that wasn't it. It was reading off of magnetic tape. If there was any dirt, dust, interference, or crinkles in the actual physical magnetic tape, you were tracking on that to try and get the best signal from it. Not the signal out to your TV. It was the actual magnetic tape that you were tracking the fucking thing.
Do corporations still do giant backups onto magnetic tape?
Because it's still the cheapest and most efficient way to do it.
Isn't that a bad idea?
Okay, but we're not talking a VCR here now. We're talking a thin layer of magnetic tape which can be written onto over and over again over a series of years.
Yeah, years, but that's still a big time limit compared to, say, solid-state storage, or even a fucking hard drive. Like even a platter drive has far more longevity than magnetic tape.
Really?
Because magnetic media, like diskettes and stuff, people are scrambling to back up their old diskettes because the magnetism's just degrading. Sometimes you could perfectly preserve any old disc, a floppy, a Nintendo Disk System game, a tape, and it eventually, through time, is just going to lose all its data.
That is true. However, in the case of magnetic backup storage, you usually have
multiple sets and multiple
runs, if you're doing it right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still the cheapest, if not the most efficient way to do it. Because hard drive storage is expensive.
This is the lamest, most boring cold open ever. Carlos and Dave, not wrong show. Two Fat Guys Talk, episode 76. Magnetic tape? I barely knew her.
Yes, that was the most lame intro you could have done. We got onto the topic of old technology and tracking came up, which is where that whole intro came from. It's amazing how far technology has come when it comes to the ability to record and play back stuff.
You know what format really didn't get its due? Maybe it needed more of a chance than it got. I think you'll agree. The mini disc.
No, there's a reason why we skipped over that.
Yeah, but it had potential. It should have been really good.
It had potential, but much like 8-track technology in beta, it was Sony proprietary, and they wanted way too much money, so we said fuck you and moved on to more efficient technologies.
Beta was Sony proprietary?
Yeah.
Wasn't VHS Sony?
No.
And beta was something else?
Nope.
Okay, I'm gonna have to take your word for that.
Nope. It was proprietary and...
I'm looking that up right now. Keep talking.
Gee, thanks. No, they all failed because they weren't going to allow third parties. And the Sony mini disc was expensive as hell. You were better off getting a CD player and padding your pocket with the money you saved.
You said 8 tracks were Sony too?
8-track, I'm actually not sure. 8-track actually survived for a long time. It's really just beta and mini disc, and should we throw HD DVD in there as well?
Okay, you're right about Betamax. That was a Sony format. 8-track.
8-track, I'm throwing out.
Was,
that lasted a while.
It was a consortium of the Learjet Corporation, along with Ampex, Ford, General Motors, Motorola, and RCA.
Okay.
HD DVD was a Microsoft thing, wasn't it?
It was.
Blu-ray's the Sony one.
That's right. Yes, but Sony learned from its mistakes and said, here, everybody can use it. And Microsoft was like, no, I will use my own, release my own little drive that nobody else will use.
HD DVD.
What do you mean Sony got Disney? Oh, fuck, we're done.
Yeah, they're pretty much done at that point.
Once Disney signed on with Sony, which is funny because it was Disney signing on with whoever did VHS, which killed the beta player. Learn from history. Disney wins.
Yeah, when Disney buys something, it wins. Like, it's just there's
their library is too big to go against,
and they have their nanoscopic tendrils within all of us, figuratively and quite literally. Uh-oh, something's happening in my brain. Huh? You guys talking about Blu-ray, huh? Yeah, we buy Blu-ray. It's our format now, huh? You better not be watching those shitty ancient DVDs, huh?
I apologize for this.
I'll cut your wrist, you piece of shit, huh?
Wow, that got dark quick.
What? I have this huge gap of time between just now and however the fuck long that stupid Mickey impression took. What happened during it?
You became full-on moron.
Oh, okay. How's my Goofy impression? Let's find out.
No. Veto.
Gosh.
Oh, God. Stop.
I was about to do the worst Goofy. Oh, sorry. Gosh.
Just stop.
Don't want to watch this on that old format there, Sora. Oh, wow. Oh, man. Dave, I think there's something wrong with me.
We know.
I am,
You know what the problem is?
I'm seeing stars in the shapes of Mickey silhouettes.
You're alive.
I think they got me.
Oh.
So, I'm gonna have to confess something to you there, Dave. Back on Thursday? No, Monday. When they announced that the new tickets for Star Wars would be on sale that evening, I legit thought about asking you to just buy 8 of them. Because I was going to do that, but I'm a little poor at the moment. And I'm a little disappointed you didn't take the initiative and just go buy 8 tickets.
Well, when they went on sale, my boss actually, who sits right across from me, managed to get into Cineplex's site to buy IMAX tickets.
Mm-hmm.
In the 20 seconds before Cineplex crashed. And tickets sold out, within a minute.
Is Cineplex a Canadian thing?
No.
Will our United States listeners know what we're talking about when we say Cineplex?
Cineplex Odeon, as far as I know, is not just a Canadian front.
Okay.
Movie theaters.
Regardless, the ticketing system in what is probably the most popular theater franchise here in Canada was crashed that evening, so...
not even that evening. Tickets went on sale, at 11 o'clock in the morning, and they were gone, 11:02.
That doesn't surprise me. A lot of theaters are doing 24-hour showings of the thing, though, so... We are gonna watch it that Saturday. I don't care what has to happen here. Cancel your plans. Cancel my plans. We are watching The Force Awakens that weekend.
We'll see what happens.
Oh, we will. And here's what'll happen. I sense a great disturbance in the Force. And that disturbance is a movie.
Oh.
So I don't think Kylo Ren is Luke Skywalker. I was thinking he might be Luke Skywalker.
No.
I saw an interesting theory. Someone was saying that maybe it's Luke Skywalker's son. He's obsessed with his grandfather. So he's got the
I think we can all admit that it's going to be a Skywalker heir that goes back. Whether it's Han and Leia's kids or some relative, it's going to be a Skywalker who ends up being a bad guy.
I finished reading Star Wars Aftermath, the first in that new trilogy by Chuck Wendig. I don't know if you got a chance to look at it yet.
Haven't yet.
There's a mysterious admiral in the end who may or may not be Thrawn. And even since Thrawn was written out of continuity with the Legends line, I would love to see Thrawn reintroduced, because Thrawn is the best expanded universe Star Wars character ever invented.
Did you know Thrawn's actually mentioned in the original trilogy?
I don't recall Thrawn being mentioned.
In the books.
Then...
Thrawn...
That makes it iffy, Dave.
Thrawn is still canon.
In the books doesn't mean canon. That makes it iffy. Only George Lucas wrote the original Star Wars book. Two other different people wrote Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And I've read them all, and I do not recall ever hearing Thrawn brought up in them.
I'll find it.
Sure. I was hoping he was still canon because of TIE Fighter. But TIE
don't
Fighter
know.
isn't canon either, so...
We don't know how much that is. I mean, Lucas said back in the day that TIE Fighter and X-Wing were.
If they are, then Thrawn is in, because Thrawn was Vice Admiral in TIE Fighter. You literally were working under Thrawn, and he was literally diverted away from the Battle of Endor, which probably would have been way different if his small contingent of TIE defenders were there, wrecking shit.
Or just, his intelligence and tactics.
Yeah, that's true too. But, super good book though. And it has prominent non-male characters, prominent non-heterosexual characters in the forefront. And super well written, super good story, and you can definitely... It respects both film trilogies. It respects the classics, but it also respects the prequel trilogy in a way that does not disenfranchise that trilogy. Because it's very easy to just go, the prequels suck and everything should be disregarded. But if you're going to make a Star Wars Episode 7, you need to respect what came in the canon in the films that came before it, which is 1 through 6, right? So you need to kind of respect the fact that these prequels happened. And the book does that without ever overshadowing what we loved about Star Wars.
I'm actually kind of curious if they're going to keep the Emperor wiped out Naboo.
Naboo is mentioned in the book, so I'm pretty sure it's still around, because they mentioned about possibly, like, a character's like, he was wondering if he could go vacation on Naboo, something like that.
Okay.
Some odd mention. They also mentioned the Gungans as well, so... Which is on Naboo. One of the main characters is a Zabrak, which is Darth Maul's species. She's a bounty hunter, and a pretty cool character to boot. But yeah, super good book. I strongly recommend it. Very respectful of the franchise, and a very good read. Chuck Wendig isn't entirely too talented, so... What were we talking about?
Star Wars.
Right. Kylo Ren. I don't think he's Luke Skywalker.
He's not.
I think he's family, and Luke went off on his own to go look for him, and that's going to be the big red herring. That's why Luke's not on any poster, and we haven't seen him, only heard from him in the various trailers. We saw his metal hand.
We're going to see Luke in the last quarter of the movie.
Or more.
No.
He could be a more prominent fixture than we think.
I think the old cast is going from cameo with Luke to being supporting characters for Han, Leia, and Chewie. That's it.
As they should be. They should be supporting characters for the new heroes.
Luke is going to be a bit character in this movie, I'm betting. We'll hear about him in the first 3/4 of the movie. He'll come out of nowhere to help them, and potentially is killed in the last quarter of the movie.
He might be killed. I don't foresee him just coming out of nowhere. The guy's been too amped to do this role. He's been apparently in ridiculous shape. I don't think they're going to waste that on a bit appearance. But we'll see, won't we?
He's this movie's Obi-Wan.
Sure,
And
fine.
I'm betting he goes out very like Obi-Wan.
Sure, perhaps so. Or he could be like Qui-Gon, where he's extremely important, but still goes out. Qui-Gon was arguably the freaking protagonist of the first movie.
Yeah.
Until he died.
I don't... Fans will be pissed if Luke is killed in the first movie. But I could see them doing it.
Fans are already pissed that a black guy is one of the leads.
We do not
So
speak, we
fuck
do not
fans.
speak of the retards.
No, we should. We should speak of them, because this is an aspect of nerd culture, geek culture, whatever you want to call it, that's prominent, and that's the very misogynistic, racist part. The highly conservative nerd they exist, and they are alarmingly prevalent.
I'm gonna actually argue that they aren't. In, like, what happened when that group came out against that. The large majority came out like, are you fucking retarded? And I will use that word in this context.
You really shouldn't, but okay.
The vocal majority shot them down in very creative ways.
Not what I saw. I saw lots of vocal ramblings about how dare they cast someone like Boyega in the role because he's not white. And how dare slightly less harmful, but definitely harmful rants about how dare a main character be a former Imperial, which is also stupid.
Like half the book characters.
Nerds are the dumbest, most conservative types. At least certain subsects of nerddom, which is why I don't like fandoms at all. And I don't know, maybe you clearly saw something different, because what I saw was a lot of very angry fans being very racist, and it being non-surprising at all, and highly disappointing.
And I saw the exact opposite, where those people who were speaking up were being made fun of, and being put down and being shot down in very creative ways. So we're obviously seeing two different sides. We're going to different sides.
Entirely possible. Entirely possible. Speaking of different sides to things, we got some voicemail. We have voicemails from many fans, and by many fans, I mean one fan. Meowth900 has sent us a bunch of voicemails. These are like a week to a week and a half old already, though, so hopefully they're still relevant topics. Sorry, Meowth, we just haven't had a chance to get to these.
Try 3 weeks ago.
You know what?
These came in right after our last podcast.
Okay, let's assume these are relevant. Let's play the first one.
Yeah. All of yours has been relevant before.
Yeah.
Hey, kind of say David, Meowth900 here. It's been a while. School's been kicking my ass, so I haven't had time to send in voicemails very much. Anyways, I'm gonna recommend you guys some more of them animes that I saw during the spring 2015 season. There wasn't really much very good that I can remember from it. There's only 2, and the 2 of them are Food Wars. That's that crazy, etchy anime with the red-haired guy cooking food and stuff. I liked it, I thought it was alright. It's not anything really standout worthy, but it was entertaining. And the other one is My Love Story. I don't know how it's pronounced in Japanese. But it's about a really tall dude with a gorilla face. And a really short girl with a mouse voice, and they fall in love and stuff. Good shows, watch them.
Thank you very much for your voicemail, Meowth. Never you mind about worrying about when you send in voicemails. We always like to hear from you. Don't neglect your schooling. Hopefully you don't have too much of that left. I heard good things about My Love Story, partly because it stars a non-standard, bulky, less attractive main character, and the romance between him and his girlfriend is supposed to be very genuine. So
it's not the one I'm thinking of.
So, I've heard good things. Me personally, despite loving romance in anime, I'm not one who seeks out animes that their whole genre is romance. I kind of want to see that in other things. But if Dave wants to check it out with me, I'll check it out. Food Wars, I've heard nothing about.
I think I started watching the first episode.
You think?
I watch a lot of first episodes of shows when they come out.
Okay.
I'm actually just going to shut up about this one because I have to verify if it is one of the ones I watched.
Okay. Because when Meowth said that, and we don't have cameras on us 24/7, I hope. But your face when Food Wars was mentioned, it's tough to describe. Your brows furrowed, your lips kind of curled up and became half their size, and then your head elongated and started turning into a spiral, and then it started like absorbing everything in the room, and then we tried to escape the spiral, but we couldn't, and all the military choppers that tried to get in got destroyed. Spiral's a fucked up manga.
Are we talking the same Spiral?
You're thinking of a very different Spiral.
I'm thinking
I'm talking about one of the good examples of Japanese horror in manga form. A genuinely frightening book that I read, and I was inconsolable for at least 3 minutes. Could not be talked to by anyone. That's not an insult. It's a really good book.
Okay.
Anywho, so after your head uncoiled, and turned back to normal, you then wrote down Food Wars in a list, typed no after it, and then threw your keyboard at your monitor. And now we are dealing with the flames. I've put most of them out.
On to Meowth's next voice.
We put them on our list, Meowth.
So Sword Art Online 2 on Toonami's finally over. Yay!
Yay!
I'm sorry I managed to make you worry like that. However, I must say, the second half of Sword Art Online 2 wasn't as bad as the first half, but it was still kind of bad, because, they do the thing where it's like, oh, hey, here's this character, you're gonna feel bad because we're gonna make you feel bad for her.
Yeah.
It's just like, you did all this stuff before in the first half of season 1.
And you told me about it, too.
So I did. I feel bad. But the good thing was there wasn't much Kirito. It was just Asuna, so I don't know. I guess that was better. I mean, the only thing lame was that there was so much talking and not enough fighting that I just wanted to fall asleep. I mean, it had so much talking, it makes Naruto Shippuden look entertaining by comparison. That's saying something. And it doesn't help when it's characters I don't really give a fuck about, Anyways, the voice acting was awesome, everyone did good, the directing was good. The dub's just very, very good, it's just to show itself's kinda lame. I mean, it's got all the aesthetics, it's just the writing, adaptation, whatever, sucks balls. Anyways, yeah, I'm so happy that that's done. Aren't you guys?
Well, seeing as Carlos gave up at the beginning of the second half of season 1, he's very glad. Me, on the other hand, as I've said on other podcasts, I actually suggested to you to stick with it until the second half. It was very manipulative. I think they still succeeded in their manipulation for that. Especially on how the character went and how they actually managed to get me emotional on it. I'm just a softie that way for stuff like that. I did like the second half because it did focus very heavily on Asuna, her issues with her family, and, this new person that she got to know. So, yeah, it was probably the best thing they've written on that show, but, yeah, still very manipulative and could have been written way better. Carlos doesn't really have an opinion because he hasn't watched it and never will. Though he does bitch and complain about using the characters in, I can't say the name.
Yes, you can. What is it?
Fighting Climax.
Close enough. I try to use Asuna more than Kirito. Just because I gel more with Asuna's character in that game. and because that way I can pretend that she was always the main character, and that Kirito died, and that Asuna had a lesbian relationship with what's Kirito's sister's name? Sugu? Yeah, that's my joint.
Next voicemail.
Okay, so anyways, the anime that's coming up on Toonami after Crap Art Online 2 is Parasite. I think David hated that one, but I think Carlos liked it. Anyways, Parasite's gonna be on Toonami, which I'm kinda excited about, but at the same time, it's a Sentai dub show, so it's not gonna be as great as if, like, Viz or Funimation did that, the Sentai's, like, we buy it, and then we just watch the subtitles, because their dubs aren't that good. I mean, their dubs are, like, watchable now that crazy guy is gone, but they still got a lot of work to do before they can get as good as Funimation or Viz Media. Anyways, Parasite's coming, that show was great. Carlos, did you ever finish watching Parasite? Because I forget. You did the full anime rave thing, and you said you liked it. So I was just wondering if you ever finished Parasite. I don't know how it's pronounced in Japanese, so just... It's that anime with the alien hands, the alien hand guy. Yes, that one. Did you ever finish watching it?
I did not. I put it on the list and never got back to it. I did really enjoy it, and it's coming out in dub, so I'll probably check out the dub for it when I do get back to it. I have been on a bit of a Netflix binge lately, but Breaking Bad, which is a series I never watched when it first came out, has been taking up a lot of my Netflix time, because it really is that damn good. I do need to get to Parasite. I want to know more about this crazy guy at Sentai, who apparently is making crazy dubs, and then he was killed or something? He wasn't killed, but...
See, Sentai is a mixed bag. You either get a good voice director on there with an actual good cast, or you get really badly done dubbing.
Okay, what has Sentai done for dubs?
Okay, most recent one, Beyond the Boundary.
Yeah, and that's pretty
good.
Which
we're loving.
Yes,
the dub.
Beyond the Boundaries dub has been spectacular so far. But hang on though, obviously there's a history here. So what else have they done?
Let me just look that up, because trying to...
Sentai Filmworks, okay. That's what I thought their full name was.
Oh god. Okay, Akame ga Kill.
Less good, but still not bad.
Oh, but it's hard to say on this one, because some of these licenses are ones they picked up after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's ones they picked up, like a Magi Brilliant Park, which they're not doing a dub on.
Sure.
Ones that we've seen, though... come on. It's a large list that they've licensed. Divergence Eve.
What's Divergence Eve?
Boobs in space!
Is that the Boobs in Space show? Oh. I thought it had a different title. Sure this is the Boobs in Space show?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it is too. You're right,
With the really bad CG.
Right.
Okay. They did the Familiar of Zero dub, which I despised with a passion.
Haven't seen the dub.
I know. I didn't. Wow, they've done...
Oh, they did the Gatchaman dub. That was a really good dub, actually.
Never watched it, so I'll have to take your word for it. Infinite Ribius, but we only watched a bit of that. Actually, a series that I want to watch here eventually is Log Horizon. There's not much...
Oh.
No Game, No Life.
They did the dub for Penguin Drum, which is another one of the shows by that guy who did Yurikuma Arashi and Revolutionary Girl Utena. There's apparently lesbians in it, so we're going to watch that.
Psychic Squad we watched.
What the fuck is Psychic Squad?
What if Walmart had a crack team of psychics?
Hey, they did Scried.
Now, did they do it, or have they licensed it? That's the big thing. Yeah, see, Madman Entertainment did the dub on that one. Sentai's just just rescued the license.
Okay, then let's confirm. Go back to Beyond the Boundary. Did they do the dub of that, or did someone else did? Because Beyond the Boundary's dub is super good. Real talk.
Well, Beyond the Boundary's brand new, so yeah, Sentai did the dub.
Okay, well, here's the thing. I believe you that Sentai Filmworks dubs have been a mixed bag.
But here's the thing.
But their latest one I've heard has been supremely good, so...
Here's the big thing about dubs, though. I can't think of a single studio that hasn't had a mixed bag when it comes to dubbing. Funimation's one of the best dubbing studios in the business.
Even they've had hiccups.
And they've had questionable choices when it comes to both voice direction and voice actors. So... Sentai's just more of a up-and-coming group that picks up less than stellar shows that didn't necessarily do fantastic in Japan. Like, Beyond the Boundary did okay. So I was very surprised when somebody picked it up to actually do a dub. So, yeah, they all have problems with voice direction on certain things. It's just, everything can't be, home run.
Well, I'm going to check out the Parasite dub anyway. So, well, yeah. Well, I haven't forgotten about the Show Meowth, and I did like what I saw, so...
Honestly, I think I wouldn't be against doing a dub retrospective for Anime Rave. I may not
but don't do a show you don't like. I'm not going to do shows I don't like, so, like, I'm not giving you that courtesy. You don't got to give it to me.
Asshole. Give it a shot. Maybe it'll click with me differently the second time, but we were watching a lot of different shows, and it just was weak in comparison.
Sure, in Insanityville, but okay.
Hey,
we can rumble.
Even you agreed to cut it for the ones that we kept.
No, I agreed to cut it because you were being like, "Oh, I want to watch more Parasite. It's got his hand. It's not very good." And you were doing it in that exact tone.
It's pretty good Rob Schneider impression.
Yeah. Rob Schneider is a stapler.
On to your next voicemail.
Mm-hmm.
So, Yokai Watch, that video game thing that's the new Pokemon in Japan, that thing's gonna come over here soon in animated form.
Got it.
I looked up the dub of it, and it sounds alright. I mean, the main character is voiced by Ichigo's voice actor, so... It's weird because, I can hear Ichigo in there, but it's like Ichigo's trying to voice a little kid, so it's very strange. Anyways, it's not out yet, but the only sucky thing is that Disney XD plays it, and I don't have that channel because I think it's like paid cable subscription or something. And Disney's not gonna be nice and put it on Hulu or Netflix or whatever, so I'm gonna have to watch it online somewhere. But yeah, the Yokai Watch thing looks interesting. It's like Pokemon, but maybe a little bit more fun. Yeah, I don't know. I look at the pictures, and there's this red cat and white ghost, and she's like, hey, this looks fun. So are you guys gonna try out that Yokai Watch game or cartoon? I'm gonna try out both and see if I dig it. It's gotta be something. Japan likes it. Maybe we'll like it. Anyways, yeah, Yokai Watch. I'm hoping that's a really cool thing that comes out over here.
I have heard of this Yokai Watch, and I heard it is the next big Pokemon type thing.
Yeah, I don't know how much I believe that.
I don't know. I'll be honest, nothing about it makes me want to play any of its games or watch any of its shows.
I've actually got a couple of the shows dubbed. Haven't watched them.
I can't see how that won't just be an ongoing Pokemon-style, no episode means anything kind of...
I have my doubts whether it's Pokemon killer, because Pokemon has just remained so popular with people.
Plus, the yokais are ghosts, right? That means they only got one typing. Pokemon have a wide variety of ways to beat ghosts.
I've heard it described as kind of like a Persona-ish monsters kind of setting, which might work. I don't know.
So there's going to be a giant dick monster, right?
No.
Because Persona tends to have its giant dick monsters. Quite literally. A giant cock.
So yeah, we don't really have much of a response for you, Meowth, in this case.
It's not my cup of tea, honestly. I don't think it will be. Maybe one day I'll watch it by accident and think it's the coolest thing in the world. I'm not actively seeking it out, though.
Last voicemail.
So I started watching Digimon because, just like everyone says, Digimon's awesome, so I had to, watch it at some point. Crunchyroll was streaming that shitty box dub, so, well, I mean, if I had the nostalgia goggles, I would like it, but I didn't watch Digimon that much as a child, so I don't have the nostalgia goggles, which sucks. Because everyone I know says, oh man, you're missing the point, it's so good. But it's really just oh hey, this is awesome because I saw it as a kid and thought it was awesome. You know, nostalgia. Anyways, so far, my favorite character in that show is Joe? That's the name of the guy with the blue-haired guy with the glasses. He's funny. My favorite Digimon is, is it Gabumon? It's a Digimon that's friends with Matt. It's that one. It's very fluffy and cute. So, yeah, Digimon's entertaining to say the least. More entertaining than Sailor Moon. I mean, I don't know. Sailor Moon's kinda lame at times. Yeah, Digimon's alright. I'm starting to dig it.
Digimon's fun. Sorry to hear you weren't a fan of the Fox dub. I know I'm still a big fan of it, but that's also because, I know the background behind its production and the guy who wrote it, and I enjoyed them trying to make a really unique version of it. But I can see why that wouldn't be everyone's cup of tea and why you'd want a more faithful dub, which probably will line up well with Digimon Tri coming up, admittedly. Joe, eh?
Carlos hates Joe.
Nah, me.
He wants him killed so that Davis can take over his role.
Joe has his uses. I'm sure that seasoned properly, the meat on his bones will taste delicious. Yeah, Gabumon's cool. It's kind of weird that a little lizard wearing a wolf skin would digivolve into the very wolf that skin came from. Kind of a weird circle of life thing going on there. But yeah, Gabumon's cool, and he definitely has cool evolve forms. I'm a big fan of Weregarurumon myself. The form beyond that, not my favorite, but Gabumon's still pretty cool. Yeah, Digimon's a lot of fun. I like I like Patamon just because
I always like TK and Kari.
Yeah,
Kari's characters in both, all 3 seasons.
Even though they're conniving and planning a Digiluminati with their brothers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whatever.
Digimon's good fun. As far as Digimon designs, my favorite was always Myotismon, just because he looked like a cool, not quite human vampire model. Myotismon is such a cool design. I could have seen him fit in any number of other things as not a Digimon. I'm talking about his base ultimate form as well.
I was guessing that.
With the Grizzly Wing as his move. And it's just cool. He fucking shoots a stream of bats at you. And it's a pretty cool move too. And he seduced human women and took their blood. Yeah, Myotismon's my favorite.
He was, I'd have to say, the best bad guy.
Watch for spoilers, though. Not sure how far Meowth is.
He was the best bad guy.
Yeah, that's really good.
That's it for voicemails.
Sweet. Yeah, Myotismon is always a cool design for me. I just thought he would have made a cool 2D fighting game character. Just, he's got the right look for one and the right moveset and everything. He's just nifty. Not a lot of the other Digimon villain designs really grabbed me the way his did. The closest would be Piedmon, just because he reminded me a lot of a really mean Kefka.
I'd say Puppetmon was an interesting idea just within the Digimon group. The one that didn't get me was the aquatic Dark Mouse.
Metal Seadramon!
Yeah. Oh, Edamon?
The monkey!
Yes.
Elvis Monkey!
That was an interesting idea to it. I always like Leomon's design.
Leomon's got a good design.
Leomon was good, so was Ogremon, actually.
I didn't like that Ogremon could never close his fucking mouth. That's kind of an oversight in design there. But yeah, Leomon's pretty cool. If we expand past those first two seasons, I've always been a fan of the Flame Dramon of Vemon's armor forms.
Okay.
I never liked that he got a base champion, because I never thought Ex-Vemon looked nearly as cool as Flame Dramon did. Sylphimon is also really cool, the fusion of Gatomon and Halsamon.
Yeah.
And there's an unused mega form of that Valkyramon that is one of the coolest looking Digimons I've ever seen. A lot of the Season 3 Digimon just look cool. I love the entire Guilmon line.
Yes.
It looks consistent, and ending in Gallantmon is just so fitting for him.
Yeah.
I love Beelzemon to death in Season 3. Probably my favorite Digimon. Not only was he such a cool design, but he was such a cool character because he's Impmon, right?
Yeah.
And Impmon was such a cool, well-developed character in that season, right? But Beelzemon's just so badass looking. He's like if the Attitude Era motorcycle riding rider Undertaker was a Digimon.
Yeah. Yeah. Though I'd have to say my favorite Digimon human pairing came from season 6 with Agumon, and I forget his partner's name.
That guy who punched Digimon.
The one that to make Agumon Digivolve punched other Digimon to do so. I love that.
That guy was insane.
That guy was
up to
awesome.
Digimon, be like, "Hey, Digimon!" And then whacks him in the face. It's like, dude.
and the reason Agumon respected him was because right when he met him, he fist fought Agumon. It was awesome.
Hey, you! Dinosaur can breathe fire, you wanna go?
It helped that the show was actually well voiced as well. So I have to say that's probably one of my...
You know, I've never seen Devimon defeated by Atomic Wedgie before.
He'd never lower himself to do that. It would just be a...
He's just holding one horn, he's punching him in the stomach over and over.
Yeah.
This is for trying to murder children! Do you respect me yet? Devimon's like, what? Oh!
Yeah. Digimon. Digimon Try is supposed to come out in December, so I guess we'll see what they decide to do with it.
I hope that the villain captures TK, whips him in the face, and then gets the shit beaten out of her by TK.
That would be awesome.
Yes. That is my hope.
I could also swap that and have it happen to Kari.
No.
And have Kari beat the living fuck out of somebody.
No, Kari doesn't have it in her. Kari makes plans with her Digiluminati. She's no Rumbler.
Oh, so she's not good enough to do that.
No. Mimi, on the other hand, would have...
Sexist.
No, I just mentioned which girl would, and that's Mimi. Mimi would beat the shit out of someone who whipped her in the face. She'd be like, "You bitch!" And then fucking, drop kick her. She's like, "I'm gonna sing you a song." Punch in the face. "I'm gonna sing a song that'll beat you up." And they're like, "What?" And then punch in the face again. That's right. I incorporated Digimon dub humor into my... Oh, God. What are we doing? What are we doing with our lives?
Speaking of bad things, YouTube Red.
Oh, fuck me. So, Google, along with their corporate fucking paymasters, found a new way to fuck us. We already got a video notice that, "Oh, you can't have this one video up because our partner isn't ready to jump into YouTube Red." Fuck you, Sony Music Japan. Our Kill a Kill reviews are fair use. So, lick my ass.
And I'm not blaming Sony Music Japan on this one. For a copyright notice, I blame Sony Music Japan. This is all YouTube. This is YouTube saying, yeah, if you don't partner with us, your shit doesn't go on YouTube anymore. Now, our reviews are ours. not Sony Music Japan's. Therefore, fuck you, YouTube. Our stuff stays up. This is all Google.
I sure hope that they keep that up, because if they ever do not restore us, we do have a legal case, but that's a big time and money commitment. Although we will have a case.
Especially now that the US has that case that sets
the
precedent.
precedent we talked about in the last one. If we were monetizing things, we'd have even more of one, because then we could go after them for damages. So, but I mean, fucking, it's a great world we live in, where the rich get richer, and they get richer by taking money away from everyone else, right? Like, trickle down economics. The biggest lie anyone has ever believed is trickle down economics. A system that does not even work remotely, like the name suggests.
Yep. So yeah, YouTube, fuck you.
Fuck you, YouTube, with your free videos and connecting people in ways we did. Suddenly I'm starting to realize this is a complicated issue.
It is, and it isn't, because this whole YouTube Red thing is just for them to make more money.
I agree. It's definitely...
It's basically a, I was gonna say Ponzi scheme, but it's not. It's it's blackmail.
Mm-hmm.
It's either sign up with us or your stuff can't be on YouTube anymore. It's like, no, I'm not giving you exclusive rights to retransmit my shit.
Yeah, it's not bad enough that...
I mean, they're turning into...
YouTube... Please finish your thought.
No.
No. Go ahead, finish your thought. You still have
They're trying to make a YouTube Netflix off the back of YouTube content creators.
Yeah, and it's not bad enough that they already are the only real alternative to... They're the only real solution for video hosting. Now they're taking away potential competition. Like, it's just... It's grimy, is what it is. Google is evil in a lot of ways. They say they don't do evil. No, Google does a lot of evil. YouTube Red. We'll see how long this lasts.
And it's gonna take unfortunately, a lot of big name YouTube video content creators have signed up with it. I mean, that one guy, not PewDiePie.
PewDiePie?
There we go. He signed up for it with one of his shows.
He probably shouldn't have, because the reason he's so popular and can make all the money he does is because his content was free and easy for anyone to watch. I'm no PewDiePie hater. I don't actively seek out his content, but I'm not one of those dickholes who blames him for the fall of current culture. That said, why the hell would he make his content inaccessible to the very people that got him to where it is? That's a bad move, I think.
It is. But we'll see what happens. I mean, if he puts only one of his shows on there and keeps the rest of his stuff free, maybe it'll...
Having special episodes up there is fine. That'd be like Patreon, right?
Yeah.
Like, if we ever did go to Patreon, we'd probably have an episode or two that are just exclusive to our Patreon subscribers, right? The fist fight heard around the world, except it wasn't. Dave and I will have an actual fist fight. It's just us watching fisting porn and talking about which one's better.
No. Never gonna happen.
You're not a fan of fisting porn?
I'm never watching porn with you.
I'm not saying we jerk off to it together.
I'm saying I'm never watching porn with you.
You watch anime? Some of it gets pretty damn close. If not outright porn.
Well, if you were hoping I was going to say no more anime, you failed.
Fuck!
Nice try, though.
It was a nice try, wasn't it?
It was adequate.
Acting like we jerk off together. Though I'm not sure I'm entirely opposed to that.
Just stop. Never happening.
I'm winking at the mic so hard.
Let's talk some games.
Nah, I kind of want to talk more about masturbation.
No.
Fine. Let's talk some games. So Street Fighter V beta on Steam, it's either really badly optimized or my rig is shittier than I thought. And I suspect it's a combination of the two because,
What's your video card?
oh jeez, I don't remember the name. It's either an ATI or a NVIDIA card, and its name includes letters and numbers in it.
Great.
Yeah. When I run it at when I run Street Fighter V at least medium settings or higher, the game slows down. Like, it plays in slow motion once you get to the character select screen. Literally slow motion. Like, it's, and I suspect it's optimization, but I mean, I don't want to have to dial the game down to its worst settings, which makes the game look bad.
And you shouldn't
in order to
have
play
to.
it at, because here's the thing, this is another one of those PC Master Race guys have no fucking clue thing. You know, PC Master Race guys like to talk about how, oh, you can play all the games on PC, they're way better than consoles. Here's the thing people take for granted in consoles, okay? And this has been true since the dawn of consoles. Consoles have are of a specification.
Yeah.
A common framework.
Mm-hmm.
Which means games run at a set speed consistently across all consoles of that type. With exception to various chipset changes, updates. Ideally, you plug an NES game into any NES,
Yes.
and it will run at a certain cadence, at 60 frames per second, because most NES games ran at 60 frames per second.
Yes.
And it will behave expectedly. Whereas you put it on a computer, which is processing much more than just games, and suddenly PC Master Race guys are like, well, it doesn't matter that occasionally the game hiccups or that it's not running at the right cadence. You can just change how you play the game, in which case I'm not even playing the game anymore. I'm playing something completely different. Well, I will not be playing a Street Fighter V that's running at a different speed for me than anyone else, right? So I'm going to go cancel that pre-order. But it's really disappointing that there's no optimization at all. Like, yeah, my rig's not great, but it's not all my rig, sorry. Like, I can run other things at full speed just fine through some tweaking of settings. So,
out of curiosity, do you have Street Fighter 4 for PC?
No, I do not. But I have had fighting games on PC. I had Injustice Ultimate Edition, Skullgirls, various others, and they all run at full speed. Injustice, I can even dial it up all the way. I can dial up all the settings to max.
Okay, now the difference between all those games you've mentioned and Street Fighter is Street Fighter, as far as I remember, 4 and 5 are both 3D. They're a 3D rendered character.
Injustice is 3D.
Is it?
Injustice 3D?
I thought it was 2.
Nope, Injustice is 3D, and so is Skullgirls. Skullgirls is a polygonal game that does a very good job of fooling you into thinking it's hand-drawn.
Then again, Skullgirls was also very highly optimized.
Yes. It does it in a different way than Guilty Gear Xrd, which is truly polygons with the right shading and animation frames. In Skullgirls, it's 2D art drawn onto a polygon so that it can have the proper effects applied to it.
Okay.
But it's still polygonal.
Now, it being a beta, the reason why I asked about 4 is, from what I remember reading, 5 isn't that much of an upgrade to the engine of 4's. So if 4 ran like shit on your box, because it's not going to be your processor, which is going to be the limiter.
The bottleneck.
The bottleneck is going to be your video card.
Probably.
And if your video card's more than a couple of years old, I can see how it could be a bottleneck.
Possibly. Are you saying I should be using software rendering?
I am not going to suggest that, because that's like saying I am not some sort of barbarian.
True. Well, yeah, I know you've just gone onto my library since I do the library sharing thing with you and downloaded the beta. So after this podcast, we're going to try it out. But I mean,
now, if my rig runs it like shit, there's a problem. Because
sorry we don't all have the rig of the gods, Dave.
I'm actually a year back, but when you start looking at the charts, the only chart I trust is actually from Tom's Hardware.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much when you look at the chart, if your processor / video card is not at least 3 levels down from the top, you're not going to see really any performance gain by upgrading. I'm still at the 2nd tier. So I need to drop 2 more tiers before it's even worth it to upgrade my video card or my processor. I also don't do SLI because, like 3D, it's a stupid fucking gimmick. And I'm not spending over $1,000 on fucking video cards.
If I had money to burn, I still wouldn't do SLI.
If I had money to burn, I might. But if I had money to burn, I'd be burning money.
Man, if I had money to burn, I would hang every component from the roof with fishing line and let just the ambient air cool the components.
But yeah, no, if it is that poorly optimized or you have to upgrade your system, probably a good idea to cancel your pre-order if you're even allowed at this juncture.
I've canceled orders from Steam when I've played games before. They'll do it. You have to send them a support request, but give them a good reason. They'll do it. They've credited me.
Oh, I hear that Steam's getting a little bit more hard to get a refund from if you do stuff like the betas.
Well, we'll see. I'll tell them that it ran like shit and I couldn't even bother playing it. I had to do it on a friend's rig, so we'll see if they do it. If they don't, then I guess I better build a new rig before this comes out. I've been wanting to build a new rig since as long as we've been doing this podcast and been talking about it.
Couple of years.
Finances have always gotten in the way, so...
Yeah. No, and as much as I may joke sometimes about PC Master Race because of some of the things that we can do...
I wasn't targeting you with those comments.
Oh, I know.
Mm-hmm.
I joke about them, even though I'm not that guy. But I do believe there are some things that are better on PC because of some of the things that you can do after you finish the game. Modding being one of the big ones. But
no issue with that at all.
But consoles, which I have right now, all of them except for the Xbox One, probably Christmas. There is something for having a game on console and not having to worry about, is my video card driver update this week going to crash it?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Or a bad side or a downside to the mods is this mod going to make my game unplayable in an hour? So there are definitely downsides to the whole PC Master Race thing, but on a certain level, it is amusing when you get in that conversation of graphics. If graphics even matter to you. I mean, one of the big things I've always modded my Bethesda games on is the new graphic mods that people put out to make it look really nice. But if that doesn't matter to you, console.
Sure. Pop quiz. Create a character class to put into your fantasy RPG video game that is not typical of a class that's been in fantasy before. Go. You have 3 seconds. Time's up.
Bardish Pig.
Close to the one I was going to mention. Bardbarian.
There we go.
Literally Nathan Explosion as a barbarian.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have also accepted Shred Priest, which is a priest on roller skates. And, Shred Priest.
Rocket Knight.
The funny thing about Rocket Knight, I don't know if you're aware, but there's this one series of games called Rocket Knight, which is exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah. I saw one person manage to get a mod into The Witcher 3, which gave him an automatic weapon.
Yeah.
Now, I'm all for steampunking my fantasy games, but that made it a little bit...
That's like just putting in a cheat code and putting
It's
just like putting in a cheat code into Portal 2 and giving yourself the Portal gun, or into Half-Life 2 and giving yourself the Portal gun.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah, that's That game, the Combine are not ready for the portal gun.
I've done that, and that changes the way you play the game completely.
Similarly, GLaDOS is not ready for a rocket launcher.
Well, yeah, but that was the whole point, though, of that encounter, was getting the rocket to her.
Mm-hmm, I'm aware.
Giving you... Well, then again, even the turrets. I saw one mod where you gave yourself grenades. 5 per map.
Mm-hmm. It's
like, game over. All of a sudden, the turrets are not a big problem, because you're just like, oh, by the way, boink, boom, fuck you. The most difficult puzzles to do to try and get to some of the hidden areas as well becomes simplistic.
Yep, I agree. It's kind of funny. Remember in Arkanoid when you would get the power-up that basically lets you turn the game into a shoot-'em-up?
Yes.
That always seemed like an out-of-place power-up. It's like, one makes your bar longer, one gives you multiple balls, and one of them turns your ship into Vic Viper, and now you can shoot the blocks!
However, it was ingenious how they did that, because your bar gets smaller, and if you focus just on the shooting, you're going to lose your ball.
You're going to lose your ball, you still got to bounce the ball. So yeah, you're right. It's definitely
it wasn't unbalanced, especially seeing as the ball sped up. I think it's like 0.5% more per hit when you were in the able to fire.
The ball speeds up all the time.
It does, but it increases even more if you're in the fire mode.
Is that right?
Yes. So I mean, they still threw the curveball at you of it's okay. Well, you can fire, but now you've got to focus on firing. And still hitting the ball at the paddle, and we're going to make it faster. So usually you're your own worst enemy.
I think the equivalent of that is if in Gears of War you could get a Tetris gun that would just shoot a Tetris block above a guy, and you could hit left and right to move it, and then just flatten them with it.
Or just give me a sniper rifle.
Thank you. You completely ruined the whole feeling of what I was going for.
Good.
I'm glad you decided to destroy the sanctity
You're
of
welcome.
this conversation. Why don't you just find a cliff and just do a moonsault off it, and I'll hold up a sign that says 10, smiling the whole time. And then we can be done with this, Dave.
Actually, that is one game I do want to get for the Xbox One, if I get one, is the Gears of War collection.
Gears!
Yeah. Though I guess Gears of War collection is... They've only really released one in HD, haven't they?
Only Gears of War 1 is HD. The collection, though, is all the games, so... Or is it that... No, Gears 1 HD has codes for the other ones.
Does it?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Oh.
And the codes for the other ones are just the downloadable ones, but you can still play them on Xbox One. They're just not super optimized. They're still good-looking games, so...
If I do get myself an Xbox One, it's definitely a game that we may have to play again.
I'll play through Gears of War again in HD.
I mean...
I got no complaints.
I've unplugged my Xbox because I don't play it anymore, but I'm also looking forward to what they do with the backwards compatibility.
Sure. I love Gears of War, so, I mean, I'll play it.
I also... Have you watched more on Halo 5?
I've watched a little bit more. I know Buck's on your team, which is great. Nathan Fillon's awesome.
Well, one of the teams.
I know the Arbiter is playing a prominent role. Is he playable, though? I don't think so. So, the game wants me to play it. It really does. It keeps trying to bring me back in, but I am still bitter over 4, Dave. I'm still very bitter over Halo 4.
All I can hope, from what I've seen, it looks like they learned from the... Not for the multiplayer side of it, but just for the storyline side of it. They may have learned from the complaints of 4. I mean, the fact that 4's boss was a freaking QuickTime event was... Unforgivable. However, the woman who is in charge of the Halo series now seems to have her head on straight as far as what she's doing in 5.
5 really wants me to play it. That's all I can say, man.
But then again, 5 has always been very good at its set pieces. For throwing you into this massive battle with all these things going on. Gears of War has done that very well as well.
Yeah, Halo's pretty good about throwing you into that stuff. Have you played Undertale at all?
No.
So here's the thing about Undertale. It's not my cup of tea. However, I read the story for the whole thing and all the spoilers and whatnot. Super well written game.
Yeah.
And it's Earthbound-esque, but the combat system is pretty cool because there's a real-time component to it. You specifically may really enjoy Undertale, and you should consider playing it. I recommend that game to you and to just about anyone. The reason it's not my cup of tea is because, just everything I read about it didn't make me go, I must play this game. And I still might. But there are a lot of good things about it. It's like Earthbound meets Cave Story is the best way I can kind of describe it, including, like true endings and the nature of what you need to do to find them and whatnot. The big hook is that you can fight enemies, or you can do other things in battle to befriend enemies. And if you befriend an enemy, you don't get experience, of course, but that enemy is not killed, and that matters.
Yeah, you've told me about this game previous to today, and it's a game I'm actually thinking about picking up after I've finished a bunch of my current ones.
Sure.
I've also heard some people bitch about it and complain about it, and other people say that they're idiots and everything else.
Again, it's not my thing, because it's more art game than game, but... And I'm not a big fan of games that are just more art pieces than they are, really mechanically solid games. But the combat system in this is fairly mechanically solid. It's just in kind of a simplistic way to facilitate the game's true objective, which is its narrative. Which is partly why it wasn't really my thing. But it still has enough mechanics to make me kind of go, even though I've spoiled the whole thing for myself, I kind of want to experience this thing. So, and I know you'd like it. I know for a fact that Devaniel Day-Lewis would absolutely love, I need to think of a different fake name for you. Devaniel Majir would absolutely love Undertale.
I mean, right now I'm playing a combination of Fallout New Vegas, Rebel Galaxy, which is a new one on Steam.
Yep. I've heard of it.
And Guild Wars 2, which the expansion just went live.
Oh shit. I should probably go make I don't know if I bought the expansion, actually.
You can still order it if you want to, even up to the collectors if you wanted. But the next games on my list are Oni, which I bought a while back and have had a couple friends recently say it was amazing graphically and awesome to play, so that's on my list. And in mid-November, I will be disappearing from the face of the earth for Fallout 4.
I will celebrate the release of Fallout 4 by playing Shovel Knight DLC, because it's free and way better than Fallout 4.
Unless, of course, if it's a buggy piece of shit, in which case I will...
Don't you mean when it's a buggy piece of shit? And
for
for exactly how long it takes for fans to fix it and then go, Bethesda's the greatest dev ever.
I hope it isn't.
I'll give you this much. I hope it isn't either.
But those are definitely the list of games for me to be playing here soon. I'm also kind of interested in Dragon Quest Heroes. My roommate actually owns it, and I've seen him playing it, and it just looks like a better, more graphically impressive version of Hyrule Warriors. So, again, the Dynasty Warriors guys make amazing games, as long as it's not Dynasty Warriors. As long as it's got a third-party group that actually gives a fuck, which is why I don't put Gundam in there, because the Gundam developers don't give a fuck.
At least 1.5 Dynasty Warriors Gundam games are amazing.
Sure. I refuse to get the last one because they refused to dub it.
That's a bummer because half the fun is the
Yeah.
crazy dub interactions.
In fact, I won't be supporting Dynasty Warriors at all going forward because they've decided that they're not dubbing it, period. And I'm not paying full price for a Dynasty Warriors game, number one. Number two, if they're not at least giving me a dub, fuck off.
Sure, I can appreciate that.
Funny enough, Dragon Quest Heroes got a very well done dub.
That's hilarious. That's funny.
But it's also a Square game.
Speaking of Square, I keep eyeing this new Dissidia for arcades.
Don't
And
turn back.
I keep thinking it might be really good.
Turn back.
They took out all the grindy RPG elements from it. It's a whole new canon to boot.
Wow.
Like, they're rebooting the whole idea of Dissidia and the crossover. And a lot of the characters look like they play in ways that are a little more interesting than before. Like, Terra, for instance, always has her sword out and is actively using it.
Cool.
Which, my big issues with Terra and Dissidia are that A, they made her a mage. And B, they made her a dainty, prissy, idealized Japanese woman the way they did to Samus and Other M.
Uh-huh.
Now, I'm not sure, I can't speak to the latter of this new Dissidia, but on the former, Terra is definitely more of a mage knight type of thing. Yeah, she still glides and casts spells, but with her blade.
Oh,
And
that's
definitely
fine.
more like what Terra should be. Also, Ramza is in this game.
As he should be.
As he should be. And you know what his theme is? They talk about how he's mechanically going to work, because the game is 3-on-3 battles, right?
Oh, okay.
Like, you pick a team of 3. His theme is that he does commands and shouts to buff his allies. Which is perfect.
Yep.
Also, if they want to make his storyline for this perfect, he needs to secretly be the whole hero of the game, and nobody ever finds out.
Yeah.
But if they do throw in a villain from Tactics, do they throw in Delita? Or do they throw in Ultima?
Delita.
Because Delita was definitely an antagonistic force, and the foil for Ramza. But the true end boss of Final Fantasy Tactics was Ultima. Was Saint Ajora as the demon Ultima.
That's true. You could actually throw in both of them.
You could.
You don't have to make both of them, playable, but you could actually have Delita there as a character that at least in the storyline, goes between both sides.
You could, but the thing I wonder is that if you look at the FF10 representation, it's Tidus and Jecht. And one wonders why is it Jecht and not Seymour? But Seymour was not the ultimate villain. He may have been the antagonist of the game, because the antagonist is not always the final boss, right? Like the antagonist of Star Wars is Darth Vader, not the Emperor.
Also, Seymour is kind of a lame-ass bad guy.
The fact Seymour is lame, and the fact that Jecht really was the final boss,
yes.
really. Yeah, it was Yu Yevon, but the true ultimate fight you had to try in was Braska's final Aeon, which was Jecht. So, Jecht fits.
Yeah, I've seen my roommate play through a bunch of 10 again.
Mm-hmm.
And
the game is less impressive over time, eh?
The actual gameplay, I still actually enjoy.
I like the combat system in 10. I agree.
But Seymour was such a lame-ass bad guy.
Terrible.
And once you get past him, it's the exact opposite of Final Fantasy VII.
Mm-hmm.
The second half of the game, once you're past Seymour, was awesome.
You still fight Seymour in the final dungeon, but he's not as prevalent as it was.
He isn't a force until he suddenly pops back up.
True.
So the second half of 10 was actually the best part of the game, whereas in 7, the second half of the game wasn't a game.
I'm going to devil's advocate back to Ramza here for a second. Something that supports maybe Delita being the villain representative is that the villain representative in Final Fantasy IV was Golbez. Even though Golbez was ultimately being controlled by Zeramus, the true villain, and Golbez was definitely a hero, and in the after years he was a playable member of your party. So, I mean, but since Golbez is the villain representation, even though he wasn't the final villain, you could argue that Delita could very much be the Chaos representative for Tactics.
However, to then turn that around again, though...
To counter the counterpoint!
Yes. When it comes to Tactics,
There's a lot of assholes to choose from. Do you pick Algus? Do you pick Fulmarv?
But here's the problem, even with 4. Golbez is the bad guy up until, the last 20 minutes of the game?
Yep.
I mean, you don't all of a sudden just pull out the final boss, who you learn about literally in the last 20 minutes of the game and then defeat. You need somebody who actually has some time for you to hate. Yeah, it turned out that Golbez was actually, a decent guy and everything else, but he was the bad guy for the entire fucking game.
So then...
Really?
So you've considered all this then. Who's the villain represented for tactics if there is one? Is it Delita or is it Ultima? Okay.
Because again, Ultima was a late entry into everything.
The villains were trying to revive Ultima the whole time.
Yes, but he had no persona.
She had no persona.
Sorry.
Actually, you're not entirely... Saint Ajora was a man, but the Arc Seraph Ultima was a woman. And Ultima is represented as a very feminine figure. And here's the most important part. Ultima probably doesn't give a shit what pronouns you use.
There you go.
Ultima just wants to kill you.
So, it would be like from 7 taking Sephiroth off the list and making it...
Professor Hojo?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's go with that. So you have to keep with named characters. Who made it in from 6?
Terra and Kefka. However, if in the Dissidia sequel, Dissidia Duodecim, they threw in some characters from other games without necessarily respecting the hero-villain thing.
Yeah.
And before he was cut, Locke was supposed to be in.
Oh, I'm okay with that.
But they threw in some other characters, like Tifa was in, and they didn't throw in another FF7 villain to make up for it. Just Tifa was in.
You don't really need that.
They also threw in Lightning without a villain from 13. They threw in Vaughn from 12.
Oh, hang on. They brought Lightning in from 13. Who's the good guy?
That's cute. That's cute, Dave. Sometimes maybe you're a bit less funny than you think. I'm just throwing that out there. Oh, yeah. Who else did they bring? They brought in Bill Cipher from 15 and all of reality.
So 12 got...
12, in the first Dissidia, 12 got Gabranth. And then in Duodecim, they brought in Vaughn, who filled the role Locke was supposed to fill, and that's the role of unmind-breaking Terra. Because Terra in Duodecim, which is a prequel, used to be on the bad side. On the chaos side.
I would have just preferred they brought in Celius.
Yeah, Celeste could be in Dissidia. I mean, apparently the story for this new Dissidia is that they're just ignoring all the old canon. They're making a new crossover canon, right? So,
and that's fine.
I don't even know how they do it. I would just prefer that they just do a crossover. Like, just do a Dynasty Warriors Gundam style crossover where they all see a red planet in the sky, and this is where this all takes place.
I mean, yeah, exactly.
Who would you like to see in this new Dissidia when we were talking about it? You know who I want to see? Umaro. And I want him to be a vicious Sasquatch. I want him to just be roaring and mauling people. His gameplay strategy is for people who play like this. I think I hurt myself.
Good. Well, we'll see if they actually... That sounds like a game they should bring out to PS4.
It is. It's a PS4 exclusive, actually.
Really?
And they even showed screenshot comparisons because the PS4 hardware is more powerful than the arcade hardware they're using.
Duh.
So they showed, improvements to the models and everything already.
Actually, I shouldn't say that, because historically, arcade machines have had really powerful hardware that the consoles can't live up to.
Yeah, and yeah, it's the other way around now, because...
That's hilarious.
Because, fuck, how do you do this kind of thing? It's much more economical to ship the powerful stuff home than to leave it in some shitty rat hole arcade.
Well, arcades in Japan still make money.
No, that's true, and there are complex, arcade console type systems where you can load multiple games onto them.
Yeah.
That's how Skullgirls is getting released. The latest Ultra Street Fighter 4 revision was released on those too. Bet you anything that's how Street Fighter 5 gets released there.
Yeah.
I forget what coin-op system it is. It's a system where you can download the game and keep it patched to boot. So there's an internet connection on these arcade machines.
It's about
Some
time.
of them you could probably even play online. I bet you anything. Probably just no opponent around you, find one online.
That would be a cool option. It's too bad an arcade would lose money here in Canada. Or North America in general.
Yep. Oh man, I miss going and playing fighting games with people. I need to go see the Edmonton fighting game community again. I need to rekindle that fire in me that got extinguished during my lackluster performance last year at Canada Cup. Dave, are we done?
I think we've pretty much run the gambit. There's not,
Will you stop saying that?
Gambit?
The gamut! Run the gamut! It's not the gambit! Gambit is a Marvel character and a chess maneuver. This is like the 4th time you've done that in 4 weeks! It is driving me mad, folks, if you like what you
I am going to keep on doing it then. If it's that easy to drive you nuts, I am totally okay with running that gambit.
Sometimes you're clever. Sometimes. You got anything to plug?
No, go ahead and plug your stuff, though.
I do a podcast, a separate podcast, a serial called Tales from the Orbis Ethereum. ORBISAETHERUM.com. Go listen, give me feedback. I have a new episode out every Friday. I am currently at 10 episodes, and I plan to keep this going for the foreseeable future. Maybe longer if it gets popular. Otherwise, yeah. Thank you so much for listening. TwoFatGuysTalk.com is our website. At TwoFatGuysTalk is our Twitter. At HandsomeFatMan is my Twitter.
At The Dude Hack is mine.
You can find this on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, or Pocket Casts. Just search for Two Fat Guys Talk. We are on all those services. You might have to download an app for the respective service and search within the app. Otherwise, we slot right into whatever device uses it. We are not a premium podcast. We are completely free. Listen to us, and we may enlighten you with our, whatever the fuck this is.
You can also check out our other show, The Anime Rave.
The Carlos and Dave Anime Rave.
If you do happen to go ahead and watch that, give us feedback, positive or negative. We want to hear it.
We want to hear it. We want to hear your suggestions, unless I hate them, in which case we don't want to hear them.
And if Carlos hates it, you get bonus points and a call-out for when we watch it. Yes, I'm willing to start a point sheet for people recommending things you hate.
Why you gotta do this to me, man? Why you gotta do this?
I will remind you that when I said, let's do an anime rave show, you were like, sure. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. Just, you want to do it? Yeah, sure. Just like me with this podcast. Hey, Dave, you want to do a podcast? Yeah, sure. Inside my head, this will never go beyond 2. Carlos is lazy.
What the fuck?